there are two kinds. One is where you're playing it safe, and one is where you're not playing it safe, right? So the playing it safe kind, I'll give my own example. Um, I did take a risk by moving from chemical engineering into something which I discovered was educational innovation. I didn't quite know what it was, but I was sort of figuring it out. But it was somewhat safe because I had a PhD from BITS Pilani and done my research work at MIT. So I had the credits to go back to teach if if nothing has worked out. I don't mean that in a negative sense, but if whatever I was exploring didn't work out. So that's I think that's an example of maybe playing it a little safe, or maybe not, because in academia, if you perish if you
Mm.
don't publish. So if I was out of academia for 3 or 4 years, getting back into it would have been quite complicated. Um, I think all those who are joining a startup or starting a startup are certainly taking a
Mm.
risk. A couple of years ago, one of our students got a job, one of those dream jobs in a dream company at a dream salary. And I ran into him after that, and I said, "Have you taken that job?" And he said, "No." And I said, "Why not?" He joined a startup, a three-person startup in the Bay Area. And he said he'd heard about startups, he wanted to experience the startup, and he was confident, and that's, I think, a big difference with this generation. He was confident that if the startup didn't work out, he could get into a job or, do a master's or do a PhD. So I think, again, it's less risky than people think it is. I think it's more, but again,
Mm.
it depends on if you're supporting a family,
Right.
or if you have other commitments, then obviously you can't jeopardize other people's lives because of your sort of selfish self-interest, right? So you have to balance off.
Mm.
But all that being equal, all that being behind you, it's worth stepping out and trying something.